Okay, well, that was a thing. That was a thing. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Steve Holmes. Welcome to the drum room. It's Sunday, November 5th, 2023. We're still here. We're still doing it. Still playing drums. Although at this point, it's kind of surprising. Have not been really, particularly inspired late. I had to force myself to get in here today. And I appreciate anyone who's watching. Cheers. Been really searching for some music, some inspirational music to play to, and just not really finding any. And so I was like, what's the point, But it's good exercise, mentally, physically. It's good. Facebook messaging here with Matthias, who's probably watching. Yeah, I like to get the gut check with Matthias sometimes before I start. Anyways, thanks for hanging out. My name is Steve Holmes. We're drumming here from Los Angeles. We're just improvising. We turned on the click at the beginning. We had a slow tempo. And then once I felt kind of warmed up, I turned up the tempo and went with that. And then I just turned off the click completely and just kind of improvised. And in the end, I was trying to do my kind of loose but on the grid kind of Elvin-y, Jack Weckly flam rolls, whatever, just kind of like the ladle with the messy mashed potatoes, throwing it on the graph paper. That's what I imagine there. Anyway, hope everyone had a great weekend. Let's see what folks are saying. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Matthias says everything works. The 10 could be a bit fuller. Yeah, the 10 is this head is on its last legs. I need to change the head and do the, kind of re-EQ it. But yeah, I agree. This thing is I don't know. Romulus says, hey, Poland. Funky. The Mud Shark on YouTube says, great timing and great innovation. Thank you. Ronnie on YouTube says, nice playing. How you doing, Steve? Man, I'm just so shocked about the Aaron Spears situation. He was such a great guy. I spoke to him on social media a few times. All right. Hashtag RIP Aaron Spears. Yes, I was surprised by that as well. I mean, I had not seen the guy live, but just from all accounts, just such a positive, such an overwhelmingly positive, wave of comments about him. And yeah, amazing drumming from the clips I saw. And yeah, definitely a loss for sure. Ryan Cox says, Steve, in one of your older videos, you talk about writing out the triplet pyramid. So so that you can see how the half note triplet lines up with the pulse. Have you written out any other rhythmic pyramids in this way? Maybe quintuplets, etc. Good question. Jeff Hemsley on YouTube says, nice Steve. Guy Fawkes right here in London. Lots of fireworks going off. Prefer the sound of drums. Yes, I hear you, Jeff. Man, I picked the wrong day to stream, huh? No London watchers today. Everyone's watching the fireworks. Good question, Ryan. Ryan's talking about this video I did on metric modulation on my channel, where I talk about the 3/4 metric modulation, writing out what I call the triplet tree, which means you start with 1 bar, 4/4, and you write out 16 note triplets, and then you bring down every other 16th note triplet, and you'll see that that's 8th note triplets. And then you bring down every other 8th note triplet, and you'll see that that's quarter note triplets. And then you bring down every other quarter note triplet, and that's the half note triplet, and the half note triplet is 3/4. And understanding that, getting a visual representation of that, particularly where those notes lie, in relation to the quarter notes, that surround them, is just priceless, right? It takes out the guessing game when you're dealing with kind of tricky out phrasing. And have I written out any others? I mean, geez. Just basic rhythms. I've done my share of writing out, 16th note different, groupings and stuff. But as far as the tree, maybe writing out, quintuplets, and every other quintuplet is 5 against 2, and that was helpful to me. But I didn't necessarily. Actually, I did write that out because I remember kind of noticing that when you're playing 5/2, the third note is right before the second quarter note. Right? There's 2 quarter notes in that phrase. We're talking about 5 against 2. And, it was like, if this is your pulse, da 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 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. The third note of that 5-note grouping is right before the second click. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5. Right? That's how it looks on paper. I mean, I'm not seeing it perfectly, but that's where those notes fall. And so that, I mean, I'm playing that phrase more and more to the point where like people are, like typing it out in comments on my YouTube vids. There's one guy in particular, him and I keep going back and forth where he's like dat 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 dat, 5 dats, dat 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 dat, but that was helpful to me. But the triplet tree is useful, but almost more useful for me when trying to understand rhythms and subdivisions and how you can first get a good understanding of where they are, and then translate that to like cool phrases or musical phrases or whatever you're trying to do, right? Basically, it's like if you're playing hand-to-hand sticking on any subdivision, each hand is playing half. Each hand is playing half of that subdivision. And if you're right-handed, then your right hand is on the beat, and the left hand is like, it's displaced, it's syncopated on the upbeat. Like if you're playing, if you're playing eighth notes hand to hand, then your right hand is playing quarter notes, and your left hand is also playing quarter notes. It's just playing them on the ands. So if I'm playing like literally eighth notes, like 1 2 3 4 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and my right hand is doing quarter notes. My left hand is also doing quarter notes, just doing it on the upbeat. 1 2 3, it's doing all the ands. 2 3. So you put them together. 1 2 3 4, right? So if you're right-handed, or if you're left-handed, then you'd flip it. But just talking from a right-handed player's perspective, like that rule, that formula, when you're playing hand-to-hand, applies for every subdivision. So if you're playing 16th notes hand-to-hand, your right hand is playing half that, which is what? Eighth notes. And your left hand is also playing eighth notes, but they're displaced by a 16th note. 3 4 piano, piano, 1 2 3. What's my right hand doing? My left hand doing? It's also playing eighth notes. They're just displaced by a 16th note. 1 2 3 4. I mean, it's the E and the right? That's the subdivision. 1 2 3. This is all very obviously basic stuff, right? But I mean, that's a constant. So when you play eighth note triplets, now what? What is your right hand doing? It's playing quarter note triplets that are on the downbeat, and it's playing quarter note triplets with your left hand that are displaced by an eighth note triplet. Then you start getting like a little, whoa, really? One, da, 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 one triplet, two triplet. There's quarter note triplets. My right hand. Because when we play like eighth note triplets, people tend to accent the quarter note. And so that kind of masks some of what we're talking about. I mean, I do it too, right? Like I'm accenting the quarter note. That's what the left hand is doing. It's playing quarter note triplets. They're displaced by an eighth note triplet. So you can just sit on that, internalize that and use that to come up with different phrases and stuff. And like we were talking about before, like you play quintuplets, which is like 5 notes per quarter note, right? And if you play it hand to hand, because it's an odd amount, and you only have two hands, you know, you accent the quarter note, you know, the accent is going to fall on alternating hands. So you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, left, right, left, right. Left, right, left, right, left. Right hand to hand quintuplets. 5 notes per quarter note we're talking about. Sixteenths, quintuplets. So what's my right hand doing? Playing half that, right? So that means it's playing 5/2, you know, because it's an odd number. It goes over the quarter note of the bar line, if you will, which means that, like, if you take 2 quarter notes, 5 times 2 is 10, right? So what's half of that? It's 5, right? So I'm doing 5/2 with my right hand, and the next step is like, well, what's your left hand doing, Steve? It's doing 5 against 2, but displaced by a quintuplet. I've literally never tried to do that. I've never tried to do that, literally. I mean, I can't even start accenting. I'm immediately going to get off. I'm immediately going to get lost. Right, so there it is. I had to phantom play my right hand so I could hear that phrase, and the left hand started doing it. It was playing 5 against 2. It's just displaced by a quintuplet. That's crazy. Like, I don't have that phrase internalized. I can't sing that phrase. I don't know what that sounds like. As opposed to 5 against 2, I can sing. Da 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 da. Right. Actually, that's kind of a cool groove. Like, if you just play quintuplets, you accent the quarter note, right? And that could be a groove. Like, the right hand could be like, you know, the hi-hat or the bass or whatever, you know. Sorry. You know, and then you're just rubbing sticks together at that point. You know, you turn on the click. You know, you start that groove. Your right foot starts feeling comfortable, like playing different bass drum phrases underneath that sticking, and then you're off to the races. You know, you start improvising over quintuplets, you know. I should do that stuff. Double stroke the hand, says Tristan Green on YouTube. Quintuplets, double stroke. Like, if I play a single as the downbeat and double everything else. Double everything. Blah-da-da-da-da-blah-da-da-da. Tristan's like, I love that. How do the brushes sound like with the laptop microphone? I mean, that's what's happening right now. I don't know how broken up that is. Let's see. Junker on drums on YouTube says quintuplets with right, left, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, left is also cool. One trip, yeah. Triplets over 5, not that I can play it. Yeah, 5-stroke rolls, you know. 5-stroke rolls. I mean, technically, if you play hand-to-hand triplets, you know, I mentioned that in another video I have. You play hand-to-hand triplets, and you double the middle two. You know, how much space you put on there, you know, it dictates, like, what subdivision you're playing. You know, I mean, it depends on how fast, you know, how fast you go and how much space you have, right? So if you're playing hand-to-hand triplets, let's bring this in a little bit. Wait, as long as possible to be like bap bida bida bap bida, sorry, bap bida bida bap, sorry, bap bida bida bap bida bida bap, yeah, bidi bidi. Or you can just like open it up and it'll be like a quintuplet. That's good for over top of 16th notes. Actually, I like doing that. Yeah, so, we're kind of getting off topic here, but, it's fun just kind of messing around, using the brushes to demonstrate some core rhythmical things and sticking. We don't do that a whole lot on here. Brushes sound quite okay over the laptop mic, says Matthias, thank you. A little distorted at the end when you started to play with the accents. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. We could play it a little quieter. Anyways. So yeah, we were talking about writing out different subdivisions and different triplet trees and quintuplets and stuff to come up with. But it's all about like hearing a phrase that I like, and I'm like, ooh, that's cool. And then I kind of turn that into literally a phrase, like one bar, a concept that you can play for several bars, and then you can get like one bar out of it. Or it's just something that's just good for one bar, D.I. Reynolds on YouTube says, do you do much sound treatment in your drum room? I do some sound treatment. I've got a handful of bass traps in here from there's one. Is there one? There's one there up by the ceiling. Is there one? No, that's a big television. There's another one. There's a handful around here. I've got the room sounding dry enough, but it still kind of breathes, which I like. It's not. I don't have I bought so many at first that it was just completely dead. The pads just ate up all the sound, and I didn't like how that sounded. It's good for recording, but that's not the purpose of this room solely, Let's see. Jeff Hemsley says, do you ever study Gary Chaffee books? No, I actually did not study the Gary Chaffee books, but I've obviously heard of them and I know of them, and I'm aware of Gary and his significance, but I've never studied out of his book. Let's see. Tristan says, I love the hip-hop fives from the hats to the snare, downbeat on the snare. Yeah, I should really work on that stuff more. I'm really into, this stuff is like, it was hip like a couple of years ago, and now it's just like, it's not as hip, like quintuplet grooves and stuff. But I'm a big fan of Chris Dave, man. He's kind of my guy for that kind of stuff. I saw Chris. I've talked about Chris before, but I'll talk about him again. I saw him when he was like a young up-and-comer with Kenny Garrett in the late 90s several times. And man, he was just ridiculous and still is ridiculous. But I really like that he's kind of, he's kind of forged his own musical identity. And for him, it's about it's not about drumming. It's about, playing cool music. And he always has cool musicians. And oh man, if you guys aren't hip to Chris Dave, he's got a band called the Drum Heads with a Z, and oof, man, so cool. He does these things where he literally layers different grooves at different tempos. Like with his band, he'll start like him and a bass player will play this groove, kind of this looping groove, and then he'll kind of stop and the bass player will continue, and then he'll start playing another thing with other people in his band, like a straight ahead, really up tempo thing, while the bass player just sits on that groove. And Chris kind of just, now that he has these, these two kind of, different songs at different tempos, like kicked off, he'll literally go between them. Like it's ridiculous. I love that guy. Oh yeah. Erykah Badu. Yeah. Yeah, he was on that MTV Unplugged with her. Whoo, man. That stuff grooves so hard. He's great. He's one of those guys I'd make a fool out of myself if I saw him in a Starbucks or something. I'd be like, Chris Dave. No, I'd play it cool. I'd be like, what's up, Chris? Really dig your plan. Thanks. You know? Anyways. Oh, he just did like a couple months ago, he did like a week at the Blue Note with Pino Palladino and some other guy that I haven't heard of, but I'm sure is killing. And man, I wanted to see that. Dude, Chris Dave and Pino Palladino, come on. Come on. That's like almost too much groove. All right, what else you got, folks? Come on. Let's keep it going. We're here. Let's learn something. Let's talk about drums. My brush playing sucks. Man. Matthias, I thought I saw a video of you playing brushes. That was just killing. If you guys aren't hip to Matthias, click on his name and look him up. He's ridiculous. Last time we did a stream, it was like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I had a stack here and a splash, and I took them down, and I was like, no more splashes, no more stacks. And I come in today, first thing I do is, I'm like, I'm sorry, I put it back. I put another splash here instead of the stack. And like while I was playing today, I was actually really enjoying using them. So I need to accept my splash identity. Man, the go-to these days is like the paradiddle diddle, like on the hat with the splash. You know, that's an easy little thing I can show you guys. Hip to that, like you get a splash like paradiddle diddle. Tight hi-hat rolls with splashes. Really, no one in the world should be doing that stuff except Vinny. Oh, man. Let's see. Rancock says, music development in the West reminds me of economics, where intellectual music has become hyper-intellectual, but mainstream music has become super dumbed down. The middle ground has disappeared. Man, that's too much of a deep topic for me. I'll leave that to you. Matthias says every drummer needs a splash in his collection. So many great. I don't know if I agree with that, man. It's a crutch for me, but a lot of guys, yeah, I can think of several guys that, I mean, Zach Danziger. I don't think I've ever heard Zach use a splash, ever, not once. And Zach's one of my favorite drummers. I would embarrass myself if I saw Zach in a Starbucks. I'd be like, Zach! You know. Can you tell me the name of your splashes? Says Richie. Sure, Richie. Geez. Let me take it off the thing. This is a custom splash, 10-inch. It's faded, so I had to take it off. A custom, 10-inch. And I've got like an extra felt on here, so it's pretty... This one's interesting because I find like the little splashes are almost too loud. They cut like too much, and so when you use them, they're like kind of out front mix wise. You know, they just go right to the overheads. And so I like this one because it has holes and it's not as loud. You know, it doesn't do that piercing cut thing that a lot of splashes do. And that's why I like it. And this is a drum roll, please. Da-da-da-da-da. This is a Zildjian A Custom EFX, 10-inch EFX. Okay. Still got the price tag on it. I think I got this from Zildjian. From Kirsten, who I haven't seen in a long time. I need to get out there, do some swapping, get some new hotness. That would be great. Drum roll. Tristan says 2 drink minimum. Yes. I mean, I like Long to Be Loose, obviously. Like, I mean, Long to Be Loose was kind of a game changer for me. Anyone that doesn't have Long to Be Loose, like Wayne Krantz Long to Be Loose, if you don't have that, like, you don't know what's possible with 16 notes. You've never heard 16 notes. Like, I mean, it's like, that album is all, I think there's one tune that's kind of triplety, but like, those guys, no one, you just don't know. You don't know what's possible with 16 notes until you really sit down and listen to Long to Be Loose. Particularly tracks 2, 6, and 9. Okay? Tracks 2, 6, and 9. Yeah. Countless CD listenings to that. No splash on there. And then, you know, he did a live record after that with Wayne called 2 Drink Minimum that apparently was like some handheld DAT recorder at the 55 in New York. And I have a love-hate relationship with that recording because the playing is so good, but the production is just such garbage. And Zach's drum sound is garbage on there. His ride, I don't care for it. His tom sound on, I don't care for it. And I've heard, like, I think I've been in that place like once, and I've heard him on podcasts where he talks about that room and just how just dry it is. It's like stone walls, and just playing in there just feels horrible because you just get nothing back from your drums. It's one of those rooms, right? You know, and people don't realize like what a game changer that is. Like, because you're so used to playing, like every time you hit a drum, you're getting something sonically. You're getting a very loud, 9 times out of 10, you're getting a very loud thing back. And so, of course, that's a relationship, whether you know it or not. You put your drums in a room like a stone room with no sound absorber, and it's like it just feels completely different. Anyway, I remember reading or hearing him talk about how challenging that was. But 2 Drink Minimum, the first track on there, what is the name of it? It's called like Firecracker or something. Man. And then there's another tune on there called Dream Called Love. You know, that's like almost like a classic rock kind of riff. I love that they did that tune. You know, and I remember the intro to that is very deceptive. Like, it's not, you know, the quarter note is not exactly where you think it is, and then they come in and the riff is just like yeah, Whippersnapper. Thank you, Tristan, is the name of that first track. But man, Dream Called Love, I got some, despite my cringing at the drum sound, that got some serious rotation in the car. Yeah, love Zach. And I love what Zach's doing now. I mean, like his crazy stuff, he's got so much stuff on YouTube with you know, several of his projects, and he's doing that triggering thing now with like video and audio, and I just think that all that stuff is genius. I'm so glad he got like the MD cover like last year, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. He got the cover again, and yes, I'd make a fool out of myself if I saw him in Starbucks. I wouldn't make a fool out of myself, but you know what I'm saying. Let's see. Tristan says, yeah, the doctor that doctor with that DAT recorder. Yeah, I saw Keith and Wayne there a bunch of times. It's loud as heck. Yeah. I when Keith took Zach's chair and they came to the Baked Potato here, and you know, we were all very like, you know, that's a tough act to follow, and yeah, I don't care for Keith as much as I care for Zach. I mean, Keith has a incredibly successful career. He's touring stadiums with Steely Dan. Like what the, you know, what am I going to say about Keith? You know, but you know, everyone's got preferences, and I guess that's that. Oh man. Oh yes, he's one of the funniest people ever. Yeah, he does all those bits and skits and stuff. I love that, man. I love that. All right, so we should play some more. Words Ruin Music says, what method books Would you recommend? I didn't use a lot of books. I did Jim Chapin, Advanced Techniques with a Modern Drummer for Straight Ahead Jazz. Ted Reed, Syncopation. You know, I have a video on my channel. If you haven't been to my YouTube channel, please go to my channel and subscribe. I've got tons of videos on my channel. One video in particular about jazz drumming where I talk a lot about like Ted Reed and some kind of, you know, lesser known exercises that against the swing pattern, like left foot lead and stuff like that against the swing pattern. All that stuff was very handy. It's on that video. Please go to my YouTube video and check that stuff out. Also, there's a link in the description for most of you that are watching. We're broadcasting right now to several platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Kick, and Twitch, actually. Yeah, there should be a link in the description, like a link tree. You know, if anyone wants to support, all support is welcome, because we're doing this for nothing. We're just doing this because drumming is awesome, and I love drumming, and I love talking about drumming, and I love sharing drumming ideas, and that's the end. Okay. Let's see. Have you used electronic percussion to record and live? What's your opinion? Says Jeff Hemsley. No, I don't have a lot of experience with electronic percussion, other than purchasing a, oh man, what was it called? What was it called? The Roland Octa thing? Octapad? Woo! Some late 80s stuff here. Start really showing my age here. Yeah, I think I bought an Octapad and was messing with that, but no, not a whole lot of experience with electronics. I don't like messing with gear. I'm not a gear person. I'm almost more interested in like the audio visual, like setting up cameras and microphone. Like I'm almost more interested in that kind of gear than like drum gear. Like for drums, like I just want stuff that I think sounds good and I just want to play. I'm not interested in like, oh, the new sampler and the new trigger that has a 2 millisecond response time, and with my I'm a video game designer is my main living, and I just work with computers and software all day, and so I try not to get that part into the drumming. I just want to drum. Acoustic drums for the win, says Matthias. Yeah. So I feel like I should play some more. Maybe some really slow. I'm just going to click on the really slow. Let's try to nail it. Let's play some grooves to a really slow click. Not get distracted. Of course I say that, but I'm going to start, blowing. But let's make a fool out of ourselves. What, like 55? Something bananas? 55. I don't even know if I can do that. Let's try it. No. Last 16th. No. Nope. Man, I had that like, and I got that wave of like, you know, five. I mean, I guess it's like 10/2 at that point, right? Because the click is so slow. But it's like, and I've done that before, and I got there, but I completely fell off. It's like basically you're playing like quintuplets with one hand, right? And you start accenting every other one, right? And so that's five. You're accenting five, and then you actually modulate to that five as the new pulse, right? Boom da, boom das, ba ba ja, boom da, boom das, ba ba da, boom boom, right? And so you're actually modulating to 10/2 at that point, right? Which is bananas. And so I did it, and I got there, but I fell off my bike, basically. But that's what's happening there. It's pretty fun, actually. But I thought we kind of achieved the goal like when we started, because I play along with the click a lot on here, and a lot of times I watch myself back and I'm like, man, this is just stupid because I'm just trying all this stuff and I'm not like nailing the click. And so I wanted to like, okay, let's nail it. And whenever I didn't, I like stopped and like, you know, course corrected. Anyways, hey, we have someone from Kick is here. Chavez Flexington says, well, hello there. Sounds great. Thank you, Chavez from Kick. Really appreciate it. Let's see what else are folks saying. Yeah, Matthias was like, hey, put the click on the light. I'm not doing that. DI Reynolds on YouTube says, can you talk a little bit about your mindset when you're doing time click practice? I find that I struggle to get into a good mindful flow state and end up overthinking, which leads to poor time. Yeah, that's a good question. Someone from Twitch is here too. Mom's Cacus 91. Wow, we've got someone from Kick, someone from Twitch. Crazy. Someone asking about like my mindset. Cassie, hello Cassie. Sorry, Cassie 91. Hi Cassie. Sorry. Di Reynolds is like, talk about your mindset, man. When I'm playing the click, like the click is just on the counts of 1 and 2 there, right? And I spend a lot of time practicing, you know, various patterns of like click, no click. Like that's 2 counts with, 2 counts without. And sometimes I do like a bar with and a bar without. And I've also done like just the click on 1 for 1 bar, you know. Maybe do just a click on 1 for 2 bars. Like you just give yourself that space, you know. But man, like, yeah, that's not just groove. That's like time. Like what your approach to good time is, and how does good time result in like groove, and what is a good feeling groove versus like good time and stuff. And it's like I feel like the concept of good time is like it's more binary. It's like it's either 1 or 0. Like either the time is good or it's not. Like as opposed to a groove, obviously, like when you talk about the downbeat of a groove, like within that downbeat, there's like a whole range of like, well, I'm right before it, I'm right after it. Like, oh, this feels good, this feels on top, this feels laid back, blah blah blah. All that stuff. I don't think that's like in my mind. I don't think about that stuff when it comes to time. Like the time should be on the grid. It should be rock solid. Like the time never changes, right? The groove is like, this is your time, right? This is the note. And the groove is like, it's this thing on top of it, or you put it where you want. It's either here or it's here, or it's like here and falling off, like whatever. But the time, it's like the tent poles are the time, you know? And the way to get good time is to just really like understand the subdivisions, understand the mathematical value of the notes, because that's literally a numeric representation of how much time passes between each note, right? But also it's like, you got to understand, this is the most important thing with good time. You got to understand that it's not about the note. It's about the nothing between the notes. You know, you hand a monkey 2 drumsticks, he's going to hit things. He's going to play notes, you know, but the space between the notes is going to be monkey business. It's not going to be like, you know, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be consistent. He's not going to have a good time. I mean, mostly, you know, I mean, for the purposes of my analogy, you know, I mean, no offense to monkeys. Please don't cancel me, monkeys. But the point is like, you know, good time means like, you know, between quarter note 1 and quarter note 2, that space is the same as between quarter note 2 and quarter note 3. You got to understand that. You got to think about that. You got to respect that. You got to give it its due, you know, like literally. It's up to you. Like it's literally up to you. Like I hit a thing. How long do I wait before I hit it again? It's up to you. And so how are you going to make that decision? It's just muscle memory. Oh, I'm just going to turn on the metronome. I'm just going to, I guess, just do it until I'm with it. And then that's it. Oh, I'm with it. That's it. I don't need to do anything. No. Like go, like think about it, you know? And that's just, we're just talking mentally. I mean, once you understand it mentally, once you respect that, it's like, okay, well, now I'm hitting it. And it's like, well, how I'm hitting it is surely going to affect like everything, you know? And if and how your limbs feel after you hit it. Like, is there rebound? Are you burying your stick? You know, think about a walk cycle. You know, when you walk, you take a step, your leg doesn't stop moving after the step. And then wait until it's time for the next step. And then you like, no, it's a cyclical thing. It's a cyclical thing. And that applies, you know. It's a circular cyclical thing. And that's a big part of time, you know. And so turn on the click. You know, don't do the fancy thing where it's like, oh, 2 bars with, 2 bars with, whatever. Just turn it on. Give yourself a quarter note and practice at different tempos. And also get favorite songs at different tempos. Like get good reference, music that inspires you at different tempos. Medium tempos, fast tempos, slow, grooving tempos. You know, Dennis Chambers was a huge influence, had a huge impact on me and my groove and my time. You know, any number of Dennis records. There's one in particular from this bass player named Gary Willis called Bent. There's a bunch of tunes on there, a bunch of tunes in 3 actually. The first track is literally this slow thing in 3. It's like da 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 3 1, and you can hear him. If you listen close, you can hear Dennis like stomping the hi-hat. You can hear him like pressuring the hi-hat in between hitting it, like, because he's accounting for those notes at that tempo, because he knows, man. He's the master of that stuff, you know? So it's like, what's going on here and here before it even gets to here, and then what's going on here, and what's going on out there, and what do they hear, and what do you hear, and like, man, all the things. You know, you got to think about all that stuff and use it to your advantage and take control over it and be like, yes, I'm aware of those things. I have mastered all those things. And here is my time. Here is my groove. That's how you're going to do it. I look forward to it. Let's see. Words in Ruin says, I can never get used to having the click on just 2 and 4. I always end up playing the click on 1. Yes, we can get dependent on hearing the click on 1. You got to, don't do that. Have the 1 here. Don't let the click tell you. You tell the click. You know, here's where 1 is. You know, although, I mean, it's a dance. It's a thing you have to do like with it. But you know what I'm saying. Don't get too dependent on like the sound source telling you where 1 is. Like you've got to get that 1 internalized. You know. Let's see. So are you very active internally in hearing those subdivisions, says D.I. Reynolds? Yes, of course. You know, like all the things that I'm playing, like a lot of musicians are like this, not all of them, but a lot of them. It's like there's this internal voice, like the stuff that I'm hearing, like I'm like the stuff that you hear me play when I'm improvising, I'm singing that crap in my head all day. It's a curse, literally. Like I cannot escape it. You know, Darth Rips on Kick says hello Darth Rips. Thanks for hanging out. It's a curse, you know. It's like this internal voice, and like, where does that come from, and like, why is it there? And that's like, I've always wanted to do a video on that and talk about that, and how that echoes like music that you listen to and music that you grew up with, and the song that you heard yesterday, or the song that the closing credits of the TV show that reminds you of this other song, and now that song's in your head for 2 days, and I'm playing a drum solo over that song for like 2 days. You know, I've got like this Zappa stuff in my head I can't get out because I saw this Zappa band, like a week ago. Darth Rips says, let's go, more cowbell. Yeah, so am I hearing the subdivisions? Yeah, I mean, you got to internalize the subdivisions, you know? There's only like 8, and you don't even have to worry about like 2 of them. You know, most folks don't have to worry about 5s and 7s. You don't have to worry about quintuplets and septuplets. You know, I've chosen quintuplets. I like quintuplets. I've messed with quintuplets. Septuplets? Are you kidding? Nope. Septuplets are not my friend. But yeah, each subdivision you could just spend a ton of time on, like master quarter notes, master half notes, master eighth notes. Be able to play that every subdivision on the kit at all volumes between all your limbs and all the different combinations. Five with the hands, one with the foot. Do that over eighth notes. It's going to be tricky. You're going to lose one. I guarantee it. 5 notes with your hands, one with your, you're going to, you turn on the click. I used to turn on the click when I programmed the click. I would program the click and I would just give myself a huge 1. All these with cowbells, clap cymbals, bass, push, king, 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 push, king. Because I was so upset. I was like, oh man, I don't want to miss 1. And then I just got rid of it. I just took 1 away. Let's see. I appreciate your thoughts, says D.I. Reynolds. The quest to silence the critical, distracting inner voice is a real challenge. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the critical, distracting inner voice. I mean, yeah, I don't get too distracted about. I'm not worried about like what people think necessarily. Like very rarely am I concerned with, the critiquing of. I mean, obviously my own critique and I'm criticizing myself and stuff. It's just a challenge to play like what's in here to complete the process, like here to here to here to here. That's the process. And my concern is like doing that every time I play a fill. It's like, did I play the thing that I wanted to play? Did I play the thing that I intended to play? A lot of people sit down and they start moving their hands, and there's a degree of chance to their playing. Literally, there's a degree of randomness. Like, oh, whatever happens, I'm just going to turn on 16th notes and and sure, it's in time, and you did it. You played all the 16th notes, and you played a fill. But it's like, what was that really? Like, can you sing it? Like, all my fills, they're like, in, blah da da deuce ba deuce da a douche but cha. Like, that's what I want to play. And that arsenal of fills, that those phrases that are in my head, for better or for worse, are stuff that I've kind of made up, but mostly they're just variations of stuff I've heard before, or they're ripped right off of stuff I heard before. I was thinking about yesterday, like Tears for Fears in the 80s, like watching them on MTV. What's that song? La da 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 da. Like that. There was a video, and the guy, like, they showed the drummer like twice. He played these fills, zada zada da ba ba. And I was like, oh cool, like he didn't just hit the cymbal at the end. He put a cymbal before the downbeat. So it's like da 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 ba ba. And then he did it again. He's zada da 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 ba ba. Right? He put a cymbal on the 16th before the downbeat and the 16th after. Like that had an effect on me. I was like, oh, you can hit the cymbal, like before, do it like a double cymbal thing, and then cut to like listening to Long to Be like Zach does it, and he's just putting double cymbals all over, and with no bass drum underneath it all, he's just like, shh, and I'm like, yes, because I love that, Now my thing with double cymbals is like playing 16th notes, but don't stop the 16th notes, but still play the double cymbal. So the last one is like a flam, right? So you get that double cymbal, you get like the ch, but without stopping the drums. That I think that's cool. Let's do some of that. Yeah, again, the point of that is like crash cymbal on the last 16th, crash cymbal on the downbeat, right? So cha-chan. But yeah, I got to flam it on that last 16th so the hands don't stop. So instead of it's you get it, you get it. But I did a double right on that on the one too, like da da boom boom ba da da boom boom ba. Like toms and cymbals together, man. I'm all about that. Toms and cymbals together. Love that stuff. You know, that comes from the gush. We call that the gush, right? Floor tom and china together. But like, I just love like high tom and splash, like up, like you know, middle tom and crash, you know, lower tom and whatever sounds good with that. You know, toms and cymbals together. Love that stuff. So that's a little bit of that. We went Tears for Fears. Tears for Fears inspiration to like fusion Dennis Zach phrasing. All for your listening enjoyment here on the Steve Holmes live from the Drum Shed stream. November 5th, 2023. I'm documenting myself basically at this point because there will be a day where I will not be able to do this and I'll be able to look back and be like, see, I played drums. And then I'll program a bot, I'll train a bot on all these streams. And then you can just ask Bot Steve. And Bot Steve will be like, well, Zach Danziger and Tears for Fears resulted in this film. Blur. Sorry. Let's see. I've heard so many players. This is Jeff Hemsley on YouTube. I've heard so many players keeping the click volume low that when you don't hear it, you are in time. You hear it when you're out. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I think that's the case. I've experienced that as well. Like when you're on the click, you don't really hear it. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Words Ruin Music says, you said don't let the sound source dictate. But how do you do that? What is the exercise for that? The exercise for that, man, is just like putting the click on like you said, 2 and 4 or 2 and, you know, or 3. You know, put the click on 3. You know, you got to internalize the quarter note. You know, I used to do this thing where I would turn on the radio and just instantly I would just sing the quarter note. Like, where's the quarter note? And I wouldn't be like 1, 2, I'd be like 3, 4, 2, 4, 1. You know, just like literally like testing myself. Like what chord? Just spit out a quarter note. You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, you just turn on the. Oops, sorry. You know, I can just edit. You know, edit this click so it's only on the count of 3. All right. Here we go. Click on the count of 3. You know, just play that. You know, and tell yourself, you know, where is it? Where's 1? 1, 2. Oh, this is too slow for that. Not going to do this at 55. Sorry. Yeah, turn this up to like whatever, 85, 90, 80, 88. 88 BPM. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, go. 2, 3. So I'm picturing like there's some guy with a wood block on 3. Right? And he's like, Steve, play to this. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Right? So start like singing stuff along with this. 4, boom, batch, don't, oh, sorry. 2, 3, 4, boom, batch, don't, bat, boom, batch, boom, boom, bat, boom, batch, boom, boom, batch. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. Okay? So, trying different things, playing correctly, screwing up, like whatever. The point is, the point of that was like the click is on 3, and I know where I know where 1 is. This is why I'm like looking in the camera, like 1, like, and the stuff that I'm playing, like I would play like if the click's on 1, if the click's on 2, if the click's on, like I'm gonna play my stuff because that's what I hear. Like you give me a pulse, you should be able to just hear phrasing over the pulse. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh cool, don't. Like that's what I heard. I heard the click in relation to the actual quarter note. That's the key. You got to hear it in relation to the real quarter note. And you know where the quarter note is. If you're not sure, you can look. That's what I did. Just look. It's right there on the thing. This is all like developing like the internal quarter note, good time. This is important stuff. This is a good discussion. Let's see. What else are people saying? Matthias says, the cymbal tom thing is quite cool. I'll check that out in the next practice session. Guj 2.0, yeah. D.I. Reynolds says, I got very into the floor tom and open hats. Yeah, that's cool too. Thanks, Steve, dropping knowledge on a lazy Sunday, says Alex Anderson. Yeah, lazy Sunday, it's my favorite Saturday Night Live skit. Cheers. I should wrap it up soon, man. We've been here for a while. This is good. I needed this. I've been feeling a little discouraged lately, like drumming-wise, creatively. I've been feeling discouraged, so I needed this. Let's see, D.I. Reynolds says, it's also hard just to know where the standard for good time should be. Should I expect myself to be able to perform 100% perfect metronomic time? So much is edited, it's hard to know where the bar... Man, it's... The concept of good time is not going to change based on, like, the zeitgeist. Technology. Like, what people, like... Start with just take comfort in like consistent time. It's the same amount of space between A and B and C. Just start there and don't think about other crap. Just turn on the click, be able to sit on it, get good time before you worry about like, oh, I'm behind the beat, I'm whatever. Just get good time. Think about the subdivisions. Get comfortable, get physically and mentally comfortable playing with a click at different tempos, and then start removing clicks like we talked about. Just do that. Like, that's hard. Just do that before you worry about like other stuff. I think you're kind of overthinking it at this point. D.I. Reynolds. Let's see. Alex Henderson says the split screen looks great. Thank you. I'm happy to hear that. The GoPro decided to work today. Last stream, it just stopped working. Words will ruin music, since that seems so hard. Back in black. I hit the sack. Glad to be back. I keep making the click 1. It says words ruin music. The click is not 1. The click was on 3, and you gotta like whatever. I've explained all that. We need a national holiday for quarter note pulse awareness. We should have one for each quarter note. Isaac Lee, welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, it'll be like today is 1 day. Everybody won, the count of 1, yay. And then like 3 days later, it'll be like, what? It's the count of 3. People will be like, 1, 2, 3! Oh, man. Steve said subdivisions. Yes, I did. Is this a Rush reference? Oh, what's funny is I took my dog out for a walk recently, and he started like sniffing a fire hydrant. And I was like, oh, this kind of looks like the cover to Signals. And so I took a bunch of pictures. And I tried to like get one that looked like Signals. There you go. All right, let me bring this up so I can see what you see. Here you go. There's my dog at a fire hydrant. And I almost posted this like on social media. I was curious, like, because there's a lot of talk about AI recently, and there, AI coming up with pictures and stuff. And I wonder if you can do a thing with AI where you can give it this picture and say, hey, put the Rush Signals like lettering on this picture. I don't know if AI can do that yet. I don't know. Anyways, yes, Rush Signals, 1982. Subdivisions, Analog Kid, Chemistry, Digital Man, The Weapon, Losing It, New World Man, Countdown. I did it. Those are all the songs on Signals. 1982. Followed by Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, Hold Your Fire, Show of Hands. Don't get me started. My adolescent brain still, it's like, oh, Rush, we're talking about Rush. Just start like blaring Rush I'm like a Rush encyclopedia from like Fly By Night to like Presto. I'm a Rush encyclopedia, all right? For those of you that don't know. Rush, Fly By Night, Caress of Steel, 2112's All the World's a Stage, Archives, Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, Permanent Ways, Moving Pictures, Exit Stage Left, Signals, Grace Under Pressure. They put out a live video on the Grace Under Pressure tour, which did not have a drum solo. How disappointed was I? Nowadays, I'm like, man, that stuff, that the source footage of that concert is sitting somewhere. Like, somebody go there and get the drum solo. Oh, man. Yes. But then, like, after Presto and what came? Oh, Roll the Bones. Roll the Bones was good. That's when I started to, like, I was really, like, into fusion and stuff. And I was just like, I don't need this Rush stuff. That's when I moved to L.A. and never looked back. And then Counterparts came out, and I didn't really like that. And then I was really like, man, this is just the same. It's the same drum parts in all the tunes. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, I'm allowed to make fun of it, okay? Because I made the definitive Neil video. All right? For those that don't know, I made like a 20-minute Neil Peart documentary on my channel called, like, What Made Neil So Great? Go watch that before you judge me judging Neil. I love Neil. What are people saying? Alex says, don't ever question the bona fides. Ryan Cox says, Steve, do you have any desire at all to play styles significantly outside of jazz? Do you even listen to metal, salsa, reggae? Haven't ever seen touch on any styles outside of jazz. Well, I mean, you say jazz. Like, I haven't played anything other than jazz. Like, on my stream, I've done play-alongs with tons of stuff. I did a video playing along with Sinead O'Connor on my channel after she passed because I couldn't get Nothing Compares to You out of my head. So I created a track without the drums of that tune and, like, did a video of me playing it. I mean, I like reggae, you know. I like all kinds of music, you know. I went and saw Christopher Cross like 3 weeks ago, you know. That's like yacht rock. I mean, only because the drummer invited me. But, man, that was fun. Francis Arnaud playing drums with Christopher Cross. He invited me to the show. My wife and I went. We had a great time, and Francis was amazing on drums. Yeah. Oh, he's like, I mean, real different stuff. You know what? Well, I mean, what do you want? Like, I'm like, oh, Chicory Electric Band, like Dream Theater, Rush. Like, I'm a Gen X. Like, this is the stuff, you know. But I'm also like, you know, Hiatus Coyote. Like, love them. You know, the Zach Dadziger stuff where he's triggering the videos. Like, what was the name of that? He keeps doing it under different names, so it's like, you know. But metal, like, I don't like Cookie Monster rock. Like, I don't like Cookie Monster rock. And I'm kind of like the math rock stuff, like the real math rock. Like, oh man, like Meshuggah and that stuff. Like, I'm very impressed by that stuff, and I think I have like mad respect for it. But the word listenable applies here for me, and I just don't think it's listenable. I'm not going to be like, hey, let's put on Meshuggah and listen. Oh, sorry. Man, I'm going to get a lot of hate now. Going to be people like, you shut up. You know, that drummer's amazing. That music is amazing. You know, like, what's his name? You know, the you know, Pets Without Numbers or whatever. Pets Are in Charge or whatever. Matt Garska, like, he's an amazing drummer. You know, and I watch videos of him playing. He's an amazing drummer. You know, but that music that they play, you know, like Animals as Leaders. I'm like, Pets by Number. Like, hey, I'm 51. All right, get off my lawn. All right. Anyways, yeah, I love Matt's drumming, but I mean, again, like, listenable. You know, trust me, guys. Like, when you're 20, the music that you put on in the car is not the same music you put in the car when you're 30, and that's not the same music you put on in the car when you're 40, and that's not the same music you're going to put on in the car when you're 50. All right, this is what I'm saying. This is good. It's good. You know, because now I have a huge appreciation for Mick Fleetwood, and I did not when I was in my 20s. I bought a Steve Gadd tape when I was in high school. I tried. I was like, everyone keeps talking about this guy. He must be amazing. I bought like the Gadd Gang, this tape. I threw it away. I was just, you're just not in a place where you just don't get it. You know, because I was like, oh, let me put Grace Under Pressure back in and listen to Neil Peart. You know, you got to be in a place where you can see the landscape and you get the landscape. Now, Like Steve Gadd, like I worship at the Church of Steve Gadd. I've graduated from that school. Not graduated, but I've been to the school. You know what I'm saying? Like you go down the rabbit hole. You know, why is this person significant? You know, you got to be in a place where you get it. You got to be in a place where because it's about context. It's like this thing is significant because it's this thing in relation to other things. In order to do that, you have to be familiar with other things. And when you're young, you're not. You're like, oh, Rush versus Dream Theater. That's your ability to compare, you know. And you watch a video of Elvin Jones and like you're just like, what's the big deal? And then time goes by and you watch that same video of Elvin Jones and you're like tearing up. Because how can a human being have this inside of him? And you can see like when he plays like the personification of like jazz drumming with these sloppy flammers, like that Elvin force. He's like a superhero. It's amazing. You know, you got to be receptive to that. You got to get it. Oh my God, it's Francis. Francis is here, you guys. Oh, I was just talking about you, Francis. Francis Arnott on YouTube. What's up? Hey, Steve, always great to listen to you. You guys, Francis is an amazing drummer. Even my wife was impressed with Francis. That's the biggest compliment you'll ever get, Francis, because my wife is my biggest... We could go see anybody play, and my wife's like, yeah, that guy's okay. You're better. My wife thinks I'm better than... My wife's like, you're better than Vinny. Because she's my wife, you know? God bless her. But my wife was like, Francis, he's got the flow. That's what she said. Francis has got the flow. It's true. You know? It was amazing. You know, that's something you can't get on the internet. I was telling Francis, you know, when we hung out, this is really you, right, Francis? I don't know. I don't know if this is really you or not. No, I can't go to your channel. Anyways, like you go... No, I can't. Sorry, I'm watching myself now. I'm trying to go to Francis on YouTube so I can click on his name. Go to channel. Yes, I'm going to your channel. Yeah, that's him. It's the real Francis. Anyways, you go to a big theater, man. Christopher Cross. And he starts playing Sailing. Are you guys hip to Sailing? Like, it's like this super mellow tune. It's about sailing, like on calm waters. You know? And everyone comes to their feet, and the chorus comes in, you know, and Francis, you know, Zagadoon sailing, you know, takes me away, and everyone's like, ah! And man, he was driving that energy. That's a huge responsibility. That's got nothing to do with drumming. I mean, it's the result of drumming, but it's not an academic thing. It's like this energy that, you know, it's crazy. That's the finish line. It was awesome. Thanks for inviting me to that show, Francis. That was awesome. Danny Carey led me to Cobham. Cobham led me to Tony. Yes, says Alex Anderson. I hear you. Yeah, see, that happens a lot too. This guy leads to this guy, leads to this guy. Yes, love all that. Love all that. I'm going to text my wife and make sure she's okay. I've been in here for a long time. Let's make sure she's okay. Anyway, this is fun. This is a good stream. Yeah, I wish I don't have the setup to like share a video, but there's an old video of Francis like improvising that really inspired me, man. Francis, you should put that on your channel. I'm looking at your YouTube channel and there's nothing on here. You know, you should put that video on your channel. And of course, yeah, Francis says, thanks for the nice words. It was great to bang with you. I'm just going to let that go. Okay. I'm just going to let that go. I understand that was a typo. Oh, man. All right. I think we should wrap it up. I'll play like a little bit more, maybe just do a little more playing and we'll wrap it up. We'll put on the split screen because people seem to like that. So I think I have my sorry, like my iCloud Messenger is hooked up to this laptop, so oh no, it's not. Sorry, I got the beep that I got a text and it came in my cans, and so I think maybe it went into the stream. I don't know. Did you guys hear that I got a text? Anyway, this was a fun hang. Had some good discussions here, actually. Whew. Let's see. Thanks, Steve, for the nice words. Yes, of course. All right. We're going to wrap it up. Thanks for hanging out. My name is Steve Holmes. We'll do this again. Of course. Still trying to get the page together, like the archive of all the streams. Like, we're working on it. Hope everyone had a good weekend. And we'll see you next time. My name's Steve Holmes. If you want to support, click the link in the description. Or if you're on YouTube, you can hit like the super, or there's different ways to support. I don't have a Patreon or anything, but all support is definitely welcome. So show your appreciation today.